Japanese soldiers of the 20th century fall into the Middle Ages and, using their superiority, decide to seize power in the country. A group of Japanese soldiers goes on a training exercise. On the way, one of the soldiers notices that Venus has shifted, although it could not have traveled such a distance overnight. The commander notices that his watch stopped at 5 a.m. The soldier confirms that his watch also stopped at the same time. In the morning, the group arrives at the ocean shore where the exercise is to take place. A tank pulls up, having fallen behind its company due to a breakdown. At this time, two military men are discussing the impending marriage of one of them. There are bird cries over the ocean, and then the sunlight begins to flicker strangely. The men are puzzled by what is happening, and then the military men see a huge wave carrying a boat to the shore. People come to their senses, not realizing what has happened. All watches stand on the same time and suddenly start to go again. The sun rises. The military examines the shore with amazement. There was a power station here, but now it's gone. A truck, an armored personnel carrier, and a tank are in place. The radio operator tries to call the command center, but no one comes on the line. At that moment, a wave drives a boat to the shore, from which several military men get off. They sailed to meet the exercises, got into a storm, and found themselves at this shore. And then one of the soldiers sees riders dressed in ancient Japanese costumes, who are frightened by a helicopter, which was heading to the assembly point, but suddenly lost altitude. Suddenly, arrows fly at the soldiers. Sergeant Yanu rushed to the machine gun and dispersed the enemy with shots, but they returned in much larger numbers. Their leader, Nagao Kagetora, moves down to the shore. He examines the soldiers with curiosity. The modern weapons, the mysterious Iron Beast, is particularly fascinating. He asks about the thing flying in the sky and the machine gun. Captain Iba teaches the man how to shoot, and he is delighted. One of the soldiers realizes that this is the Shogunate era. Nagao practices shooting and sees bullets destroying trees on the beach. It's fascinating. The medieval warriors discuss the possibility of the unusual soldiers joining their army. Agato says that they have probably traveled back in time. The others don't believe it and only laugh. But then archers appear out of the water and arrows fly at the soldiers. They don't laugh when two soldiers are killed. The captain runs to the car with a machine gun and opens fire on the attackers, but they coherently sink into the water, and the next ones come up in another place and also fire at the military on the shore. The captain tries to catch sight of the archers, but it succeeds badly. Then one of the soldiers throws a grenade into the water, which stuns the enemy. The remaining horsemen on the shore open fire, this time with antique rifles. The machine gunner rushes after them, shooting them on the move. Shells are flying after them, tearing apart the walls of the ancient fortification. Suddenly, Nagao arrives at the ruined gate with his warriors. He thanks his allies for their help and begins to destroy the defenders of the fortress. This makes an oppressive impression on the soldiers of the 20th century. The last one to fall into Nagao's hands is the enemy leader, and he strips him of his head. At night, the military discusses what they have seen. There is nothing good in killing, but their men were the first to die. They must not change anything in history, otherwise the modern world may change. Agato talks about the unprecedented nature of time. There can be gaps in its flow. Morishito tells his partner that he must go to the station, as his fiancée is about to arrive there. Maybe it's the only place that's gone back in time. And then a rocket soars into the sky, and then one of the pilots rushes to the cars, holding a torch and shouting that he knows how to return to his time. Corporal Janu stops him with a knife and explains that he could have blown up the cars. The two soldiers leave the camp. A third grave appears on the shore. Iba Ishinaki goes to meet the representative of the viceroy of the area. He demands that they deliver to his palace a flying bird, an iron beast, and guns that kill dozens of people with a single shot. The captain refuses. They cannot join either side, and suddenly Nagao kills a man. He convinces Iba to help him fight for Japan because today's ruler is not worthy of power. They will rule together, for the captain is perfect for the warlike times. One of the soldiers helps a boy he meets to catch fish and carries him into the house. The boy tells him that his father was killed by bad men. The boy sees the babies and plays with them, surprising their mother. Sniper Mimura meets a beautiful girl in a field. At this time, the captain addresses his men. He suggests to change the course of history and take over, then maybe they will come home. Iba appeals to Yanu that it's time to forget their long-standing conflict and become comrades in arms. But he won't forget. Mimura rushes after the beautiful girl. He catches up with her, but the girl resists his embrace. They struggle in the water and suddenly meet eyes. The girl runs away again, but he catches up with her and she surrenders. A group of military men led by Yanu seize the boat, killing its security guards. The captain discovers they are missing and sees the boat sailing away. Yanu's group kills locals and captures several women who are brought to the boat and used for fun. The captain sees the corpses on the shore and realizes who did it. He calls the boat over the radio and suggests Yanu surrender, but he only laughs in response. He intends to rob the villages and take the women and food. Seeing the helicopter, Yanu orders the girls to be thrown overboard. One of the soldiers also intends to leave, but Yanu kills him and starts firing at the helicopter. Iba orders Mimura's sniper to go ashore and wait for the moment. In the meantime, one of the military descends from the helicopter on a cable and fires on the boat. The fugitives switch all their attention to the helicopter and don't notice Mimura. He kills 2 of them and wounds Yanu. A military officer on deck kills the sergeant and the boat is blown up. Iba is going to rule Japan. The rest of the military decides who will do what. Nemoto is going to stay with the family he found. The military vehicles head towards Nagao. The soldiers agree to participate in samurai battles on his side. In the morning, Nagao arrives at the palace of Viceroy Koizumi. While he was fighting, the viceroy was plotting. He's just a coward and a scoundrel, and he's come for his life. Nogao kills the viceroy and offers to submit to the others. Those who are not willing to do so are shot by the military from a helicopter and take Nogao away. He trains Iba in horseback riding and the military arts of the Middle Ages. Gathering for a council of war, the military make plans to attack the rival palace. Iba suggests they split up and strike from both sides. They will meet in Kyoto and then the whole of Japan will belong to them. The technique goes to the city and suddenly Mimura sees his girlfriend, who follows her lover, clinging to the back of the car. The rest of the soldiers go to the village to comfort the young widows. In the morning, the vehicles reach the enemy camp. Ground and air bombardment begins, but the medieval military is too many and they bravely rush into battle. Explosions destroy the cavalry and still the attackers reach the soldiers. The bravest try to climb on a helicopter. There is a real slaughter, but the enemy does not think to surrender or run away. On the contrary, they manage to almost set the tank on fire. The jeep is pushed into the abyss. Almost everyone is already wounded by arrows. The soldiers try to fight back with grenades, and then escape from the battlefield on an armored personnel carrier. The tank tries to fight off the samurai, but they go on the offensive. The armored personnel carrier gets trapped, and when it seems that the modern soldiers will be able to fight back, warriors with guns appear and a volley of shots sounds. The military shoots back with their last strength. When the military helicopter appears, it runs out of ammunition and then the horsemen appear and throw medieval smoke grenades at the vehicle. Iba signs for the helicopter to climb higher while he continues the fight. One of the soldiers tries to warn the pilots about the enemy, but he is killed by the riders. A samurai who climbed into the helicopter kills the gunner and then the pilot and is thrown down onto the stretched flags. The helicopter goes down, the crowd climbs onto the tank. The survivors fight off the tank and try to make their way to the forest on it. One of the soldiers fails to shoot the young warrior, but he kills the military man without hesitation. Iba manages to jump on his horse, but they catch up with him. He fights back with a grenade, but falls, and while the enemies catch the horse, he gets to the Singen command post and he takes the fight one-on-one. Iba fights worse, but in the final fight he uses his pistol and wins. The 6 surviving soldiers survey the battlefield. Only a tank is left of the equipment, but there is no more fuel and the vehicle is drowned in the sea. The squad heads to Kyoto, followed by the girl Mimura. Nagao, meanwhile, is talking to high-ranking gentlemen of Japan. He talks about his promise to Iba, but he is not understood. He can become emperor. What does a stranger have to do with it? Then comes news of Iba's losses, who has made it to an abandoned temple. The soldiers see that the Venus has shifted again and suggest the captain return to the coast. 14 of them are already dead. History cannot be changed. An argument breaks out. Iba threatens to be shot for insubordination. Agato resent the time when people are killed so easily. Iba fires into the air. The soldiers prepare their weapons. Mimura teaches her friend how to shoot. In the morning, Nagao arrives at the temple. Iba greets him cheerfully while the soldiers surround the temple. The former friends look at each other, and then Iba draws his sword. A shot of Mimura's girlfriend sounds and Iba falls. The others are shot with bows and the soldiers are buried with all military honors and the temple is burned down. This is where the Japanese movie ends. Write in the comments what you think about it.